Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video using a new digital kit from Tailor-Made Cards for You. This is the Be Mine, I believe. I will leave a link down below for you. And I went ahead and printed out a bunch of pages because everything in this kit is pretty much already made cards for you to do. I didn't print out everything, but I printed out a bunch. I mean, look at these lovely panels. They are just, all you need is a sentiment and you are done. They are just so lovely. And then these, oh my goodness. I love those little hearts, those little envelopes so much. This is just so cute. She also includes a page of 4 sentiments, and I went ahead and shrunk them down a little bit by printing out basically 4 copies, and then I did it through my laser jet to see if I can foil those, although they were originally they were all in red. So we're going to see how that does. I have my Cronova laminator all heating up, and as soon as it tells me it's ready, we'll go ahead and send it through. So what I've got is a piece of gold foil from my stash, have no idea where I got it from, and a piece of parchment paper. That's what I use as my carrier sheet. And then we're going to want to also, just to be on the safe side, use a brush, one dedicated just for foiling, to basically dust off any kind of excess dust that might be on the front of your paper and on the back of your foil, so that hopefully it doesn't cause any kind of issues. Now, I have no idea how it's going to turn out, since that is basically a gray print on there. It may just not go all the way through with the foil, so we shall see. I am going to be using this parchment paper as a carrier sheet for my Cronova laminator, and I've moved everything around on my desk, so now I'm needing to move this into a different place. So it has finished getting ready. This one has a hot and a cold setting. If I have it on hot, it blinks until it's ready to go. So let's see how that one goes. If it doesn't work with this printing as well as I'd like, I can always move it into Microsoft Word and do a little adjusting on that, because you can do some changes like that inside Word, which is kind of awesome. I think there are other softwares that you can do kind of the same thing, but that's the one that I use. Okay, it looks pretty good, but I do like running it through a second time. This time, I think I'm going to shift it this way for the carrier sheet, just to make sure that it doesn't get all gummed up or jammed up inside. And I just like running it through a second time, so it gives it a chance to, I guess, increase the heat a little bit on that. Don't know that I need it since I've got a new printer, so we'll just have to see how this looks when it comes through. Okay, so let's see how those sentiments did. Oh, that worked pretty much perfect. I am loving it. I do see a little bit of underfoiling, and I think that that is probably just because of that it was a grayscale instead of it being a bold black, but I still think that that looks pretty, and that's going to work great on my cards. Awesomeness. Now, I have not decided how I'm going to cut those out, but that's okay. You know me, I'm kind of seat in my pants, so I will be doing that in a bit. But before we do that, let's go ahead and cut out all of those pretty panels. Oh my goodness. Next, I'm going to cut out all of those cute sentiments. Next, I'm moving on to the panels I'm going to use for these first cards. Now, here's the funny thing. Whenever I get started on a project, I don't have a clue what I'm going to do. Instead, at some point while I am getting my initial prep done, or stamping out an image or cutting out a panel, whatever, at some point I start getting some of the ideas. That is exactly what happened here. I decided that for these first cards I'm making with this kit, I'm going to go ahead and use these gorgeous ones with the heart-shaped hot air balloons. So I am trimming down each of those panels to about 5 by 3 3/4. You guys probably know this is my typical panel size because I like to put a matting layer around it and then have some white space shown on the other side of that. So that's what I'm doing with these panels. Next, I'm going to play with one of the new release items from Simon Hurley. This is his, what is the name of that stencil? This one is a heart stencil. It is the Tiny Hearts, and this thing is just adorable. And I thought, you know, since I've got gold for my sentiments, what if I added some more little gold hearts? So I am going to take out my lunar paste in Slippery When Wet and add some just in some general areas on the different cards. I'm putting them on each panel, I'm putting them a little bit different, but it's the same technique for each one. I'm also trying out this Make Art Station from Wendy Vecchi. Now, my glass mat that you see here is a magnetic mat, but I am finding that my little magnets that came with the Wendy Vecchi, first off, I can move my panel around if I want to, which is great the way that I tend to craft. But the magnets seem to hold better to this little metal panel than they do to my glass mat. And I think I understand why. I think that the glass is kind of blocking some of that magnetic force, so they don't stick as well with these magnets, which means I'm glad that the magnets that came with my mat are so stinking strong. I have trouble pulling the things apart. So you see on this panel I have basically added some little hearts on different areas of that, just kind of as an accent, and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other 3 heart balloon panels. So far, what I've been doing with my Slippery When Wet lunar paste is I'm taking a little bit out with the with a palette knife, and then I'm using a foam, basically a foam blending brush to basically blend it in and get more coverage faster, because you know me, I am impatient, and I'm doing the same thing on each of these panels. On this last panel, I decided to do something a little bit different, and I got out a little paintbrush. Now, this is just a cheap paintbrush, I think from Michael's, and I am coloring in a few of those little hearts just to give it a little bit more definition. Using the blending brush is great, but you can't, I guess you don't really get a crisp line. You basically, where the edge of the curve on that blending foam hits, you wind up with some coverage there, and I wanted a little bit elsewhere. While those panels are drying, I am adding a matting layer behind each of my sentiments. Now, those little hearts on those panels with the lunar paste are not going to take long, so I didn't really have to wait on that. But I am wanting to add a little red matting layer around each of these sentiments, kind of so that they don't get lost in all of those light colors on my sentiments. I'm basically adding about 1/8 of an inch around each of those little sentiments, so they're going to be all ready to go to add onto some cards. Next, I'm doing the same thing with the panels. I am going to go ahead and glue those down onto some red A2 size panels and then trim the edges so that they've got that 1/16 of an inch gap around the sides. I'm popping each of those panels up onto my cards with some foam tape. I'm using some pink heavy-duty, heavyweight cardstock that I turned into some card bases, and I'm using my Scotch tape to just pop those up. This Scotch tape I'm using is pretty thin, so it doesn't add a bunch of dimension, but it does add a little, and I think that that is a great touch. I do this on a lot of my cards, which means if you get a kit like this, do you. I mean, if you add sequins to everything, feel free. This is basically a good starting point. I'm also adding some art glitter glue to my foam tape because the foam tape, of course, is very sticky, and if I, like there, don't get it exactly where I want it, I've got a little bit of wiggle room so that I can reposition it before I'm done. So I'm going to do the same thing on all 4 of these card panels. I'm doing the same thing with the sentiment. I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape to the back of each of the sentiments, and then I can place them on the front of the card, and it will add a little bit of dimension. I usually use white card bases, so I don't really show this bit very often. If I'm using a colored card base, I try to use a piece of not heavyweight, just regular weight white cardstock, doesn't really matter what kind it is, and cut that down to a little smaller than A2 size, so this is going to be 5 by 3 3/4, and then I'm going to put that on the inside of my cards to give a place for you to write in there. Now on my last card, I didn't get it quite straight, so here's the trick. If you're having trouble getting it lined up exactly, put it up against the other side and then close the card onto the adhesive, and then it lines it up perfect. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, those cards are so pretty. Is she really going to add some sequins to them? Yes, I've got this pack of heart sequins that I think would just be so lovely, and I've kind of got them arranged so it looks like they are maybe little balloons themselves floating away from the sentiment, and I just think that this turned out so pretty and is a perfect finishing touch. Now, if you want to see some more Valentine's videos or videos where I am using some more incredible products from Tailor Made Cards for You, I just love her digital kits, take a look at one of these 2 playlists here. You're going to love them. Also, be sure to check out my live stream. I have been playing with that Simon Hurley stencil and some other new products from the new release, and we're doing that on the live stream on the 25th. I believe this video is going to come out on the 26th, so you'll be able to see that. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too.